I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Richfield Housing and Redevelopment Authority. It is 7 p.m. on December 20th. And first, we're going to start out with the attendance roll call.
Chair Supple.
Here.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Here.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels.
Here.
Commissioner Sandal.
Here.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Here.
Thank you. Now, since we are back to virtual meetings, we're going to conduct the open forum virtually. And so Administrative Aide Dubois, if you could explain how open forum works, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair Supple. If you'd like to participate live in the open forum, you can do so now by calling in at 612-861-0651. And as you call in, I will assist you in transferring to the meeting. And we currently have no callers on the line.
Thank you. I think there's a little bit of probably a delay when this broadcasts on channel 16. So we'll wait for a few seconds and see if anybody calls in. Thank you all for joining us tonight. So has anyone called in?
Chair Supple, we do not have any callers.
Okay, then we'll just move on with the meeting. Next, we have approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the November 15th meeting?
So moved, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Second, Suzanne Sandal.
I have a correction I'd like to make.
All right, go ahead.
So the meeting minutes stated that Commissioner Vrees Daniels, it's the second highlighted version. If you pull the second highlighted note in there, it says Commissioner Vrees Daniels appreciated the explanation of lot sizes and showed excitement. I don't think that quite reflects what I was saying or attempting to get at. And I'm wondering if we could rephrase that to possibly say Commissioner Vrees Daniels appreciated the explanation of lot sizes and stated an interest to alternative layouts to the traditional Richfield redevelopment in the past, or something along those lines.
Okay, so the people that made the motion to approve and second the minutes, are you okay with that change?
Yep, I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Okay,
All right.
I maybe will make the motion again with the addition from Commissioner Erin Vrees Daniels to that one edit she just mentioned, and submitting it for approval.
And I'll be happy to second again.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes with the change that Commissioner Vrees Daniels suggested. Any other changes or comments or questions? All right, if not, then Assistant Wynn, can you please call the vote roll?
Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels.
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes.
Thank you so much. We've approved the minutes then. Next is approval of the agenda.
So moved, Commissioner Sandal.
Second, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing then, we'll take the roll call vote.
Chair Supple.
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vrees Daniels.
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal.
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we have the consent calendar, and I'm going to turn it over to Acting Executive Director Melissa Paleman, and we'll make it an official title later this evening.
Thank you, Chair Supple, members of the board. For those at home, the consent calendar contains several separate items which are acted upon by the HRA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items are recommended actions have also been approved. No further HRA action is required on these items. Item A is consider a resolution designating buildings located at 6501 through 13 Penn Avenue South as structurally substandard within the Richfield redevelopment project area and authorizing their demolition. Item B is consider the approval of a resolution accepting donations to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund via the Just Deeds project. That's all of the items on tonight's consent calendar.
I move approval of the consent calendar. Commissioner Sandal.
Second, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Are there any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, could you please call the roll for the vote?
Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazork.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to item 4, which is to consider a resolution approving the execution and delivery of a donation agreement with Metro Campus One LLC to accept the donation of the office building and property at 1600 76th Street East. Executive Director Paleman.
Thank you, Chair Supple. Over the past 10 to 15 years, the HRA staff and the ownership and management of Metro Sales have developed and maintained an excellent working relationship. Recently, a representative of owner Jerry Mathwig approached staff about the possibility of donating a part of their property to the HRA. That property is located at 1600 78th Street East, and the office building on the site was formerly the EcoSmart building. EcoSmart was a water filtration company. The current owner purchased the property from EcoSmart in 2019 with the intent of completing construction on the building and using the office space to consolidate employees that were scattered through several locations in the metro. Those plans have changed, and the owner is interested in donating the property to the HRA for future redevelopment. The property is located near the future 77th Street underpass and could provide the HRA with additional influence over redevelopment in this important area. On September 20th of this year, the HRA approved a preliminary donation agreement directing staff to complete a number of due diligence items. Those have been completed, and the agreement also stipulated that the HRA, if the HRA concluded that it would like to accept the property, the HRA would take possession of the property before December 31st of 2021. The HRA would also agree to reimburse the owner for the second half 2021 taxes. That's an amount of $40,486.60. Staff and both the HRA and city attorneys have completed the review and no unforeseen concerns have arisen. Staff recommends that the HRA approve the donation agreement for the property. I'd also like to mention that this is an incredibly generous donation of property. This property is valued at approximately $2.5 million. As we move forward and would pursue redevelopment, if you would approve this acceptance, I think staff would like to continue to work with the Mathwig estate to look at ways that we could honor this donation and their presence in Richfield for so many years. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Breeze Daniels.
Yeah, so one of the things that we talked about in September is the billboard, right? That is kind of in the middle of the property. Well, not middle, but in the center somewhat of that. As I look through the contract, it says one of the contingencies is that we would break that land off. Can you talk more about like what the plan would be for that? How much smaller does that make the parcel, and some I've just got some concerns around that, so I'm curious.
Sure, good question. And actually, we recently got in touch with the county, and I don't know that that will be necessary anymore. The idea here is that the city or the HRA would apply for tax exempt status for this property while we own it, while we're waiting for redevelopment. We do not want to have to pay taxes on the billboard. The billboard will obviously continue to generate income and interest for Clear Channel while the HRA owns the underlying parcel. We've spoken both with Clear Channel and with the county. There are a number of options for us to pursue. Clear Channel would be open to us subdividing and creating an individual parcel out of what is currently just a permanent easement. Or Clear Channel would be interested in discussing possibly moving that billboard to somewhere else along that 494 strip. We also talked with the county. The county would be willing to prepare essentially a separate document that would tax Clear Channel. Clear Channel would be responsible for the taxes only on that easement portion, which is what they used to do. And then declare our land tax exempt. So there are a couple of ways that we could do this. When we were drafting the agreement, we thought, because we hadn't been able to get in touch with the county yet, we thought that might be the cleanest way. It looks like we might not even have to do that.
Thank you. You have a follow-up question?
Yeah, if we do end up breaking off that property, right, and I'm not so concerned about the taxes, more about like what actual usable space is left after we break that off. Would that go to the edge of the billboard, to just where the pole is? I think that site becomes quite small, and I'm just wondering, like, what is even available if we parcel off that part of that parcel?
Sure. Right now, there already is a permanent easement. It's for the area where the pole is. It goes essentially up in air rights, up along the pole, underneath the billboard. So it's essentially air rights over part of that building. So I think that as we move forward with what would it do to the parcel? It would make it difficult to build toward the 494 edge. We'd have to consider what that space would be, how a building would be oriented. I think in reality, what we would do is work with Clear Channel to probably move that billboard so that we could maximize the development space on that particular parcel. I don't have dimensions if that's what you're looking for.
Thank you. Are there additional questions? Commissioner Sandal?
Just a comment. I would think that given what we're paying for this parcel in a very commercially important strip, that whatever we work out will be to the benefit of the city, regardless of a slightly smaller size or regardless of the air rights. I think it's a good, it's a wonderful proposal, and I think we should accept it.
Commissioner Vries Daniels?
We own the other lot on the other side of the Metro Center sales, correct? And from my research, it looks like we've owned that since 1999. Is that accurate?
Yes, that is accurate.
Okay, so I'm just super worried that, yes, it's free. It seems like a really good donation of an important land. I think I just want to make sure that we have thought through the long-term implications of this. If we end up having to sit on this for 20 years and not develop it, are we losing out to sitting on untaxable property? I think I know that that would take a long time, right, for that to build up and actually make it worthwhile. I just want to make sure that we think through all the implications of taking this donation on and what that means in the long term. I think of like the city garage site and how hard it has been to try to move something forward there, and that's a small site. My measurements on Google make it to be about 127 feet by 127 feet, which is be about half of the length of what the city garage site is, and very comparable to the other corner site there. And I think it is a fantastic donation. It is high value, but because we've also been sitting on that lot for a long time, it just makes me concerned that we are spending and taking up this property and taking it off the tax roll. So just my thoughts.
Oh, go ahead.
Those are good questions, and we have been sitting on that. We call it the Normark property, that wedge piece there. I think the circumstances are very different now with the 77th Street tunnel going in. We've already had developers reaching out with interest in this corner. I think this really changes a lot of things for that area of the city. Without the tunnel, you're right, this would be a parcel that would be almost landlocked, very difficult to redevelop on its own. I think the calculus is different now.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Commissioner Regan Gonzalez, go ahead.
I shared this already at the September meeting, but I just want to thank the donor for their donation to the HRA. This is a huge contribution to our community and some of the most sought after property in our city, and we're very thankful for the donation. So I definitely think that some type of something to recognize that donation for sure moving forward would be great. But I just wanted to express my gratitude again.
Other questions or comments? All right, would someone like to make the motion?
I'll move that we approve the attached resolution approving the execution and delivery of a donation agreement with Metro Campus One LLC. Sue Sandahl, Commissioner.
Second, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Sandahl and seconded by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez to approve the execution and delivery of the agreement. Are there any other comments or questions? I would echo what Commissioner Regan Gonzalez said about showing our gratitude, and I think that it was very generous of them, and so I do want to offer our appreciation from the city and from the HRA. Any other questions? All right, then Assistant Wynn, could you please call the roll on the vote?
Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
All right, so the resolution has passed. Next is item number 5 on the agenda, consideration of a contract for private development with MWF Properties to develop 55 units of multifamily housing at 7700 Pillsbury Avenue South. Executive Director Paleman.
Thank you, Chair Supple. I'm going to turn this over to Housing and Redevelopment Manager Julie Urban.
Thank you, Chair Supple, members of the HRA. MWF Properties is proposing to construct 55 units of multifamily housing on the HRA-owned property located at 7700 Pillsbury Avenue South. The developer is seeking to finance the project with bonds and 4% tax credits from the state of Minnesota, along with tax increment financing from the HRA. The project would provide apartment units affordable at 30, 50, and 60% of the area median income in a mix of bedroom sizes for a period of 30 years. The proposed mix of sizes and affordability is as follows. There would be 2 one-bedroom units affordable at 30% of the area median income along with supportive services. There would be 5 two-bedroom units affordable at 50% of the area median income. 11 one-bedroom units affordable at 60% of the AMI, 22 additional 2-bedroom units affordable at 60% of the AMI, and finally 15 3-bedroom units affordable at 60% of the AMI. Consistent with the city's inclusionary housing policy, the developer will also provide either 2 units that are ADA accessible or 3 Type A units with roll-in showers. The developer is seeking TIF in the amount of $881,848 over the full length of the TIF district, or 26 years, in the form of a pay-as-you-go note, along with a write-down of the land to $70,000. A decision on the bond financing, which is a competitive process, is expected sometime in February. If the project is not awarded funding, the developer has the option of applying for any leftover bonds that would be offered later in the year. And I want to apologize, there is, we'd like to change that date, the date that's listed in the staff report. We would like to change. The actual development agreement reflects a date of January 15th of 2023. And the reason we'd like to change that date is because that second round of funding can sometimes run well into November. So if we're going to get to November, we might as well take it to the next January when we could in fact possibly hit a third round of bond funding. So it just gives some flexibility, and we felt as staff that waiting a year, while with a property that's in high demand, maybe we wouldn't do that, but this property hasn't been in particular high demand, and given our staff capacity at this time, we wouldn't really, probably it wouldn't make it to the top of the list of things to go out and seek development for. So staff felt comfortable offering that longer period of time. Of course, we certainly hope that we'll get funded right away in January, and that will all be a moot point, but we need to make some contingency plans just in case. Many of you will remember that back in 2019, the HRA did approve a contract with MWF Properties to develop housing on this parcel. At that time, the project applied for 9% tax credits, which of course provide significantly more tax equity for a project, but we were not afforded funding. And the point system that goes into those 9% tax credits no longer favors this parcel. So that's why we're seeking the different kinds of funding. And then in addition, the motion includes a resolution approving an interfund loan, that will enable the HRA to reimburse itself with TIF for administrative costs that are incurred now to establish the district. With that, the developer is here to answer any questions, and I am as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Onesberg?
All right, go ahead.
Yes, I was looking at the accessibility. Are there accessible units in the second or the 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom, or is it just 1-bedrooms?
It hasn't been determined yet. I think when we get farther into the actual development, but if we have a request, I think that's certainly something we could put forward. Would you like to see a mix? I think that's what we've typically asked for. The 2 30% AMI units are 1-bedrooms, and so those may also, might make sense for those to be the affordable or the accessible units. But if you have a request, it'd be good to know that.
I just think it's an excellent opportunity to have accessible 2 and 3 bedrooms available with the demographics and what we've lost or what we don't have in the city here. It's just an excellent opportunity. It's an excellent project to bring that in.
Yeah, we can certainly talk about that.
Great.
With the developer.
Thank you. Other questions or comments?
Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. First, thanks for having me, and good evening, everyone. I'm Ryan Schwicker with MWF Properties. I'm in my car right now using a hotspot, so I just want to make sure I wasn't. Hopefully the technology is working, so I'm glad you can hear me. So that's good. Yeah, we are open to working with the HRA on any accessibility that you might need. I know in most of our projects we have 5% of our units as type A fully accessible, and so I think for this project that would be 3. So we do have a third, I believe, in the plans. I can't recall off the top of my head, but typically we try to spread those out. So that third accessible unit would most likely be a 2 or 3 as of now, but we can work with you guys on if you want to increase that number. We'd be willing to work with you guys on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
I'd just like to support Commissioner Onesorg's request. I think that's a really great idea, and this is a great opportunity to have those conversations up front, and I'm glad to hear the developer is open to that. So I want to just second that request.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll make the units or we'll rearrange the units so that they can become fully accessible, and for under in the kitchen and in the bathrooms, we'll have removable cabinets and removable like drawers underneath that, you know, if someone without a disability uses those units, you know, they can have those false fronts with the cupboards and the you know, cabinetry or whatever. And then if someone who has a disability, you know, needs a fully accessible unit, we can then remove those. So it kind of allows us to mix and match based upon who's leasing the unit.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions? I had a question on the 30% AMI. I know that the Met Council is encouraging us to develop a certain number of units for that. And I'm thinking that we haven't currently done that yet. So this would be a start towards that direction. Could you clarify that, where we stand on that goal?
Sure. And I'm just remembering they changed the number recently, and I'm remembering the original number, which was 66 units would be our share, and it's higher than that. We are looking at providing 30% AMI units at the project at 6501 Penn, and then also the MICC project would love to include 30% AMI units. So at this point, we're spreading it around. There is an opportunity potentially, if you are interested. MWF is willing to provide deeper affordability if the funds are available to do so. And as you know, we're working on freeing up. We had special legislation passed that freed up our pooled TIF to move to our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. An extra word was added at the last minute that has made that a little bit of a challenge, but we're really close to getting it figured out. And so we believe there's going to be significant resources available that you will have the opportunity, if you want, to do deeper affordability, or we were able to use some of the TIF to do those 50% AMI units because, of course, larger family units at an affordable price are also a priority. And so there may be an opportunity. You know, come spring, we may come back to you and say, well, there's some money. And if you want deeper affordability, either in that 30% or other areas, that we might have the opportunity to do that. We just weren't quite ready to have that figured out yet. We need a couple more months.
Yeah, and to Julie's point, I was explaining this earlier to her, I guess. We have a project in Mounds View that we're currently first on the bond list for bonds, I guess, on the waiting list. We applied back in July. So we're very confident that'll be awarded bonds in January. And Ramsey County received American Rescue Plan funds, as well as I believe Richfield did, and pretty much every other city and county did. And they put out an RFP, and part of that RFP was to have more affordable, lower either 50 or 30% affordable units. And we applied for that, received those funding, and changed our mix to have units that were lower affordability in exchange for those American Rescue Plan funds, because the American Rescue Plan funds filled the gap for the lower mortgage that was sized with the lower rent units. So we have had experience, you know, after having a project ready to go, from a, you know, sources uses standpoint, if we receive additional funding to offset the reduced income or reduced mortgage amount, we're open to, you know, restructuring our unit mix, I guess, to accommodate that. So that worked out well for us. The Ramsey County was very happy. We're having more affordable units, and we're able to pay for it with those American Rescue Plan funds. So not saying we use American Rescue Plan funds, but as Julie mentioned, the TIF, if there's other sources of funding that come along in the next few months, even if we get bonds, you know, we're open to working with you guys on that, as long as the project pencils out. So I just wanted to add that comment.
Thank you. I was very excited to see the number of 2 and 3 bedroom apartments here, and the deeper affordability as well as the accessibility. So I'm hoping that we can move this forward. Are there any other questions or comments? All right, would someone like to make the motion?
I'll move that we adopt a resolution approving a contract for private development with MWF Properties for the development of 55 units of multifamily housing at 7700 Pillsbury Avenue South, and adopt a resolution authorizing an internal loan to advance certain costs associated with the proposed development. Commissioner Sandal.
And I'll second it, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
And just to clarify, it's going to have a January 15th, 2023 date on it. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
are there,
So
it's been moved and seconded. Are there any other comments, questions, discussion? All right, then Assistant Wynn, could you please call the roll?
Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal, Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you, everybody.
Chair Supple, you're muted.
Thank you for that. All right, I was busy trying to forward through on the agenda and didn't realize I was muted, so thank you. All right, so, and thank you to the developer for joining us. That item has passed. We're now going to move on to item number 6, which is consideration of the designation of Melissa Palman as interim executive director of the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. So would you like to go ahead and explain the item?
Yes, thank you, Chair Supple. Feels a little odd. But as you know, Community Development Director, former Community Development Director John Stark served as the Housing and Redevelopment Authority's Executive Director since 2018 when Steve Devich retired. I have been designated as Interim Community Development Director by the City Manager, and we are recommending that you also appoint me as the Interim Executive Director of the HRA. The bylaws of the HRA state that the executive director shall have a term as the authority fixes. In this case, we recommend that you appoint me to serve as the interim ED for a period of time that is coterminous with my appointment as the interim CD director, but not to exceed 6 months. As you may know, City Manager Rodriguez has identified an interim period of 3 to 6 months for this position. So we would expect that at that time you would designate a permanent or an executive director. That's all I have to say.
All right, are there any questions or would someone like to make the motion?
I'll move the appointment of Melissa Palman as an interim executive director of the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Commissioner Sandal.
Second, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
I just want to say welcome, and we are super excited to have you in this new leadership role. And obviously, you're very well prepared and equipped, and we really thank you for taking on this role.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, and Executive Director Stark did very much prepare his staff to be ready when this happened.
Any additional comments? And I would like to also say thank you and welcome, and looking forward to working with you. If there are no further comments, we'll take the vote and make it official. So go ahead.
Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome. All right, next we have HRA discussion items. Are there any items that commissioners wish to discuss? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the executive director's report. go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Supple. There's just one item tonight that I wanted to share. Our Section 8 waiting list will be opening now, called the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Will be opening on January 18th for the first time since 2015. Our Section 8 staff are working with the last handful of families from that 2015 list to get them vouchers now. Applications for the new waiting list can be submitted online from January 18th to January 28th. We'll also offer in-person and phone assistance appointments, but the application, this pre-application anyway, is fairly simple. And I'll ask Housing and Redevelopment Manager Julie Urban if she has anything else she'd like to add about that.
I would just say that it is a big deal to open your waiting list. And so we're, Lynette Chambers, our multi-family housing coordinator, has been working very hard to make it a seamless process. We've been working with this software. Even I am going to get trained on it just in case, and really hoping to make it an accessible process. We'll have staff people working until 6 to allow some appointments after hours. And really, we just have such a great Section 8 staff, and I am so appreciative of yeah, this big deal. So.
Can you tell us how are you going to communicate that it's open to and publicize that to the community?
So the big place that everybody, all the housing authorities advertises through what's called Housing Link. And it is a resource online where you find out about affordable housing and accessible housing that's available. So that's the big piece, but we'll also be contacting our social service providers. I believe that some VEEP staff will be trained in on the software too, so that they can help people, family partnerships, some of those other social service organizations that we work with will know. The social workers at the school certainly get contacted. Other social workers will know and can help clients they may have. We're also working to find some organizations, say, that work with Somali residents and our Spanish-speaking residents, to make sure that, you know, it's widely known that we are open. It's really helpful that because of the software system and the way it's set up, that there'll be a 2-week period that people can apply. In the old days, you had to show up in person during one day, and then park got flooded with people. It was really a not friendly system. So this, you know, should work much better and be, you know, just easier for people. It's not like, oops, you find out the next day you're out of luck. You've got a 2-week period to fill it out, and so it should work much better. But we appreciate, yeah, anybody who can spread the word. We'll certainly use our social media and sort of normal channels. A press release is going out tomorrow or the next day. So
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the Executive Director's report? Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
I'm just excited to hear the news, and it's such a bummer to hear, you know, that the wait list was last open in 2015. I wish we had more housing for our families, and obviously the need is so high, and I'm excited that we are here today. And a huge thank you to our staff. Richfield is known for having such a great program, and that is obviously because of our staff. So I'm excited for this day.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Well, then we'll move on to the claims. Is there a motion to approve the claims?
I'll move claims. Regan Gonzalez.
Second, Commissioner Sandal.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the claims? If not, go ahead and please call the roll. Thank you.
Chair Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Aye.
Commissioner Vries Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. So that completes our business. And so I'm going to adjourn the HRA meeting, but we're all going to stay on this same call, I believe, and switch over to the Economic Development Authority meeting. Do we need to take a pause, or can we go right into that?
We can go right into the next meeting. I just need to call it to order.
All right, so then I will call to order the Economic Development Authority meeting Obviously, we're virtually on WebEx. It's December 20th, and I believe it's 7:41. And so first of all, we'll go with the attendance roll call. So Assistant Nguyen,
Chair Supple,
here.
I'm sorry, President Supple for EDA. Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Here.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels.
Here.
Commissioner Sandal,
Here.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Here.
Thank you. Next, we have the open forum, and as was explained earlier, you can call in to address the EDA on items not on the current agenda. The number to call is 612-861-0651. Is there anyone currently on the line?
President Sobel, we do not have any callers at the moment.
All right, so we'll pause for a moment. So has anyone joined us?
We have not received any calls, President Sobel.
All right, so thank you. Then we will move on. Next is approval of the minutes of the regular EDA meeting of August 16th, 2021.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes. Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Commissioner Sandal seconds the motion.
All right, it's been moved. Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Sandal to approve the minutes. Are there any questions or corrections? Hearing none, can we call the roll, please?
President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Here.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. So we have approved the minutes. Next, we move on to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Commissioner Sandal approve.
Move the,
To approve. There we go.
second, Commissioner Breeze Daniels.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Sandal and seconded by Commissioner Reese Daniels to approve the agenda. Are there any suggested changes? Hearing none, can we call the roll, please, on that?
President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. We've approved the agenda. Next, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Executive Director Paleman.
Thank you, President Supple. As with HRA, the consent calendar contains several, in this case one, separate items which are acted upon by the EDA in one motion. Once the consent calendar has been approved, the individual items and recommended actions have also been approved. No further EDA action on these items is necessary. Tonight, there's just one item. It's consideration of the approval of an extension and minor revisions to the Transformation Home Loan Accessory Dwelling Unit Pilot Project. And that's all for the consent calendar tonight.
I'll make
All
a
right,
motion to approve the consent calendar. Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Second, Commissioner Breeze Daniels.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Reese Daniels to approve the consent calendar. Are there any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and have the roll call for the vote.
President Seppel,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels.
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
And before we move on, I just wanted to thank staff for being flexible to try and figure out ways with the pilot program of how to make it work and trying something different. I think that's what a pilot program is for, so thank you. All right, our next item is consideration of a resolution granting a 6-month extension to the repayment obligation and interest accruals related to the COVID-19 Small Business Assistance Forgivable Loan. Small Business Assistance Forgivable Loans. All right, Executive Director Paleman.
Thank you, President Seppel. On April 20th of 2020, the Richfield Economic Development Authority created the COVID-19 Small Business Assistance Forgivable Loan to assist businesses negatively impacted by the pandemic. On September 21st of 2020, a second round of funding was also approved. There were 63 of these forgivable loans issued in 2020. The maximum funding available for each loan was $7,500. In accordance with the program guidelines established by the EDA, the loan agreements with each business allow their loan to be forgiven if they provide evidence of expenditure on the following uses by December 31st of this year, 2021. Those include COVID expenses such as PPE, cleaning supplies, etc., payroll expenses for employees other than the owner, capital improvements visible from a public street, business-related license fees paid to the City of Richfield, rent or property taxes paid for commercial real estate. The loan agreements further state that any loans which are unforgiven by December 31st, 2021 must be paid off in 12.5% semi-annual increments with a 2.25% interest rate. 92% of these loans have met the criteria for forgiveness. There are still 5 outstanding loans, however, that have yet to be forgiven and would need to be repaid with interest without further action from the EDA. Staff has had continued conversations with these businesses and believe that the majority of them have expended the funds in accordance with the loan guidelines, but have not submitted documents to verify these expenses. Staff is recommending a 6-month extension to the provisions in the program guidelines and loan documents for repayment and accrual of interest to June 30th, 2022. I'll just add that Administrative Assistant Dubois has been helping a lot on this program, contacting the business owners, asking for paperwork. We do believe that these business owners have expended these funds. It's a matter of getting this paperwork together, and the stress of the pandemic and managing their businesses, rather than try to collect on these relatively small loans, we'd like to grant these business owners a little extra time to try and come up with this paperwork. And that's all from staff.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff on the report? All right, would someone like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion granting a 6-month extension to the repayment obligation and interest accruals related to the COVID-19 Small Business Assistance Forgivable Loan. Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Commissioner Sandal, I'll second that motion.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Sandal to approve the resolution. Are there any further comments or questions? I was excited to see that 92% of the people had already fulfilled all the requirements and their loans were forgiven. So that was really phenomenal. Any other questions? All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I may have heard it and didn't hear it, but how many loans were actually made total?
There were 66 loans made. 63, I'm sorry, 63 loans.
And you have 5 or something left, or 7?
All right.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, and there are 5 left outstanding.
Outstanding.
All right, If there are no further questions or comments, let's have the vote then. Please call the roll.
President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we'll move again to consideration of the designation of Melissa Paleman as the interim executive director of the EDA. So go ahead.
Thank you, President Supple. As we discussed with the HRA, in times of staff turnover, it's been the HRA's historic practice to appoint an interim executive director. I'm sorry, the EDA, although this hasn't happened for the EDA yet. You need an executive director to do usual business of the EDA, and so we're recommending that I be appointed as interim executive director, and a term that aligns with my interim community development director term.
Thank you. Are there any questions or would someone like to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to designate Melissa Paleman as the interim executive director of the Economic Development Authority.
And Commissioner Sandal, I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Sandal to make the designated appointment. Is there any further discussion? All right, well then let's go ahead and call the roll.
President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
So again, welcome. So moving on, next we have EDA discussion items. Are there any items that commissioners would wish to discuss? All right, then we'll move on to the executive director's report.
I do not have a report tonight.
All right, thank you. Then we'll move on to claims, and we're gonna do one motion for all the several months of claims that we have.
I'll make the motion to approve claims and payroll. Commissioner Regan Gonzalez.
Second, Commissioner Sandal.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Regan Gonzalez and seconded by Commissioner Sandal to approve the claims. Any further discussion? All in favor? Oh, well, excuse me, please call the roll.
President Supple,
Aye.
Commissioner Regan Gonzalez,
Aye.
Commissioner Breeze Daniels,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandal,
Aye.
Commissioner Onazorg.
Aye.
We have 5 ayes.
Thank you. So we have completed our business. I wish everyone a happy new year, and we'll see you all in January, and we stand adjourned. Thank you.